John Baumann has been living fully with Parkinson's for nearly 20 years. He's an internationally recognized inspirational speaker who has appeared at over 100 conferences across the United States and Canada. John brings to his audiences inspiring stories, important information, humorous observations, and his positive attitude. His expertise is in successful living, including how to live the highest quality of life with or without an adverse life-changing event or illness. Before Parkinson's, Mr. Baumann was a Cornell-educated attorney who practiced law for 16 years. After his diagnosis, he continued to practice law for 10 more years. He taught at the University of Louisville and wrote a book called Decide Success, You Ain't Dead Yet. John, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're looking forward to this. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about navigating the minefield that Parkinson's is. And Parkinson's really is a minefield. I talk about how horrific Parkinson's is, and you all know how awful it is. But there's things you can do to minimize the quality of life problems that come with it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. You may have seen my talks on living your best life with or without Parkinson's. I like to go out to as many places as possible. I've been to over 100 symposiums, and I really enjoy doing that. I like to share with people the things I've learned. And I've learned lessons learned are sometimes tough to learn. I had some really tough things happen to me, and due to Parkinson's. But if you learn from your experiences and get lessons learned, hints, lifestyle hints, they really can be helpful. This discussion is for an audience of newly diagnosed, people who have been diagnosed for a while, long-term patients, caregivers, professionals. I want to thank PMD for putting this on. Sorry. I call them the 4 stages of Parkinson's, and this is something that I've kind of defined. The 4 stages of Parkinson's are the initial diagnosis and the follow-up, which is sometimes called the honeymoon phase. This honeymoon phase is not meant to be a honeymoon. It's awful, but it's a phase where the medication works. It can last for how many? Everyone's different. It can last for a number of years. It can last for 10 years. Initial diagnosis, confirmation. When I was first diagnosed with Parkinson's, I went to see my neurologist, and she said to me that you have Parkinson's upon meeting me. And I said, I want a confirmatory test. She said, you have all the classic symptoms. You don't blink. Your hands tremoring. You have masked face. Your arm doesn't swing when you walk. That was all confirmation. And I said to him, I'd like a confirmatory test. And she said, the only thing you've got is an autopsy. I didn't go for the autopsy. I would, as you all know, when you get diagnosed with Parkinson's, you almost go into shock. And I saw white light. The only 2 times I've seen white light in my life have been 2 bus accidents I was in. I was actually in two bus accidents. One, the bus tipped over, and the other one went into trees, and the driver was killed. So if you see me getting on a bus, stay at the bus. But that's the only time I've stayed at white light that I've seen, and it's like slow motion. Denial, not just a river in Egypt. Depression, no kidding. We have Parkinson's, of course you have depression. So the first question that comes up with people who have Parkinson's is, who do you tell? And if I were doing it differently, I wouldn't have told my family right away. Now, that sounds a little strange, but I would have done some research first. It's not something you bring up to people without having answers for it. So I would have done research first, and then figured out, planned ahead what I was going to tell them. And work, I'm a big proponent of not telling work right away, but learning as much as you can about it so that you know what you can do and what your capabilities are. I was able to work for 7 more years as an attorney for a corporation. So that was good. But I didn't realize that I was going to get the non-motor issues that came up. I have 3 things happened to me. I had short-term memory loss. I had difficulty multitasking, and I had short-term memory loss. That's it. Parkinson's, when does the clock start? Does it start when you get diagnosed? Does it start much earlier when you have the first symptoms? You're like a snowflake, everyone's different. So, when you talk about Parkinson's, sometimes it has its effects before you get diagnosed with it. And that's something to keep in mind. But you are not Parkinson's. You're not Parkinson's. You have Parkinson's. Parkinson's doesn't have you. How I describe this is, a woman's retreat in Southern Indiana, they asked me to come and speak. So we were in a small workshop, and I said to the first woman, I said, tell me about yourself. She said, well, I have Parkinson's. I've had Parkinson's for 12 years. And these are the symptoms I have. And the second one said, I've had Parkinson's for 8 years, and these are the symptoms I have. And the third one said, I have Parkinson's. I said, stop, time out. I don't want to know what about your Parkinson's. I want to know about you. I want to know what you're about. The first one said, well, I grow prize-winning roses for the state fair. I said, awesome. She said, the second one said, I'm an architect in the skyline of Indianapolis, with the building that I built. I said, that's great. And it was like the whole demeanor of the session changed. And it was like this clouds part of the sky shone, sun shone through. It was great. So just realize you're not Parkinson's. You have Parkinson's, but it doesn't have you. And educate yourself. Get educated. Learn as much as you can. There's lots to learn. I actually been diagnosed 22 years, and every time I go to a symposium, I learn something new. And so it's a dynamic issue, Parkinson's. So keep educating yourself. Both the diagnosed and the care partner. You need both the diagnosed and the care partner. Care partner needs to learn as much as they can as well. And the care partner needs to take care of themselves. That's something. My dad right now is in tough shape. He's in a nursing home. My mom is dealing with that, and I keep telling her, you need to take care of yourself. And that's a lesson I'm learning for the care partner. Care partners can get ill and have the effects of it. In the first phase, called the honeymoon phase, you need to get healthier. If you've been putting off getting healthy, you need to get healthier. The key things that I see are plant-based, greens, organic. It's something that you need to focus on. And it's not as critical as in the later stages, but it's something that you need to do things in advance. That's getting it healthier. Whatever diet you decide to get onto. I like the Mediterranean diet, but it's something that you need to take seriously. Increased exercise. I'm not saying go full bore, but whatever your baseline of exercise has been, when you get Parkinson's, you need to increase your exercise, whatever that may be, whether it be boxing or yoga or something else like that. You increase your exercise. Do the things that you love for as long as you can. So I mentioned I was full-time practicing law for 7 more years, and fatigue and non-motor functions got to me, and I needed to give up full-time practicing law. And I went part-time practicing law. I actually tried a lawsuit pro bono. That's something I was able to do. It took 4 days to try this lawsuit, and we won. It was a great experience to have picking a jury and such. But what was most important was I realized that I have the ability to do that I can still do things, and it helped most of my confidence. I was in bed for 2 weeks afterward. 2 straight weeks I was in bed, so tiring. But it was worth it. It was fun. I actually, in my closing argument, I cited Pretty Woman, My Cousin Vinny, Jerry Maguire, and Miracle on 34th Street. So it was quite an experience. I wrote a book on success, and I was on the faculty of University of Rome for 10 years. So those are the things I love to do. And while I could still do them, I did them. And you'll learn the things I can't do in a second. So the first stage is honeymoon phase. That's when you can still do a lot of things and the medication works. Second phase is the action stage. And that's where you have to defy the disease. I call it define the disease. What I historically say is survive the bad days and cherish the good ones. It's a great mantra to have. Survive the bad days, cherish the good ones. Right now, what I'm dealing with now is I survive the bad hours and cherish the good ones. Because I go on and off hours at a time. When I'm getting near my end of my medication cycle, I go off. So when you get to the action phase, which is the second stage, increase focus on healthy diet. You need to spend more time. You can't out exercise a bad diet. It's so important, and I'm testament to this because I lost 35 pounds in the action stage, and I got healthy. I was probably the healthiest person with Parkinson's that ever existed. Strange to say, but increased focus on healthy diet. It's critical. And then this is one of my few cartoons I like to put up. You got to start eating out of a different parking lot. Increase your exercise. Fortunately for me, I met my wife when I was 10 years into my Parkinson's, and she happened to be an exercise and nutrition enthusiast. So she started doing these Shawn T videos, if you ever heard of Shawn T. And she would jump over imaginary logs, even though she hated. I was the one that's supposed to be hallucinating, but she jumped over imaginary logs. And she did the Heisman maneuver. She hates football, but she did the Heisman. She would exercise, and I would watch her. And then I finally said, I can do that. I started doing it with her. And then we started doing kettlebells. And the instructor said I wouldn't be able to do it, which was the wrong thing to say to me. And we did hot yoga. And we took very seriously intensifying our exercise. And that's what I say in the second phase. You need to intensify your exercise. You need to do something beyond your comfort level. Do something beyond your comfort level. And do it in groups. So much more fun in groups. Social, gives you activity, gives you a place to go. So much, COVID killed that, but it's coming back. It's coming back. So increase your exercise. I just got off the treadmill. I got so inspired tomorrow I might actually turn it on. That's funny. Or the woman running after the kid. Never ever lose your sense of humor. I play poker with my buddies every Monday night, and I was a terrible poker player before I got diagnosed with Parkinson's. And I would lose every week, and they would take money from me. And when I got Parkinson's, I stopped taking the medicine for 2 days, and no one would know I got that fourth queen. So my facial expression never changed. And they thought I was cheating, so they banned me from the game. But to me, that's fun. Reevaluate your purpose. This is something that's very difficult to do, because I found my purpose in being a lawyer, and I really couldn't do that anymore because I wasn't sharp as I used to be. So I couldn't do that anymore, and that's what my identity was. So what I did was I had to take off the blinders. And the way I described that is the movie Overboard. Remember the movie Overboard with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, where she loses her memory of that she's a rich woman, and she's claimed by Kurt Russell to be, and she's poor. And then she realizes that she gets her memory back, and she is back. And she's on the boat with Roddy McDowall. Roddy McDowall is the butler, and he's a great actor. He was a great actor. And I wondered why he chose to be an actor in this, and why he took this role. And I think it's one line that he got to give, where she said to him, so they were in the galley and they were doing shots, and she said to him, "Was I that bad?" And he said, "Andrew, I've lost my diamond earrings somewhere between 42nd Street and 46th Street. Go find them." And she said, with all sincerity, "I'm so sorry." And he was taken aback by her apology because he'd never apologized before. And he said to her, she said, "What am I going to do?" He said to her, "Madam, we all have blinders on. You've had yours removed for a short period of time. What you do with that information is entirely up to you. Well, you've had your blinders removed, you have Parkinson's, you see things differently. You see things maybe from a different perspective. What you do with that information is entirely up to you. And I truly believe that. I think I was a jerk as a lawyer. You know, I'm a nicer person now. And I see that. And that's important to me. So reevaluate your purpose. Teach. I started teaching at University of Louisville, and now I teach elementary school because I can't drive anymore. So I walk to this elementary school and I teach once a week. And it's challenging. It's very taxing. It's very tiring. Very physically tiring. Very mentally tiring. But it's something that gives me purpose, and I feel good about it. And I know I can influence these students, these kids. Yesterday I did kindergarten, and they ran over me, like they just walked over me. And so I've got to do better than that shit. They won't listen to me. They won't listen to me. It's like I don't have any authority. So that's what I do to have purpose. Are you prepared for the next stage? The next stage is the scary stage. It's called dangerous. And what you need to know is you never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. You have strength. Each one of you have strength. You are strong people. And we people with Parkinson's are strong, and we need to hold up that strength. I call it the dangerous phase because it is a dangerous stage. It's the last chance of independence. It's the last chance of having independence. So it's important that you do the things that you adapt to your environment. You need to prepare for this stage. I am in this stage, and I'm dealing with it every day. I can't go into corners and get stuck. I can't freeze up in corners. I can't not get out of chairs. I can't fall down. I can't get off the floor. I can't do stuff like that. So Davis Finney says every victory counts. I love Davis Finney. I think that this 3-word phrase is just so classic. When I get into a car and I'm able to get my seatbelt on, it's a victory. I have victories. I have 100 victories a day. When I'm able to get things done, when I'm able to do the laundry, it's a victory. When I'm able to empty the dishwasher, it's a victory. Every victory counts. I have my meds always close at hand because I don't know when I'm gonna go off, and I need to take my meds. And I have a life alert. I had a life alert, and now I have an iWatch. And if I fall down, it will. If I don't stop it within 1 minute, it calls the EMTs. So I'm not going to fall somewhere and not get down. So, but the problem is you have to put on a charger sometimes. So it's something you have to deal with. I hope you're not easily embarrassed because Parkinson's is an embarrassing disease. I'm not going to sweeten it. Bed. I couldn't get out of bed in time to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Couldn't get out of bed in time. So I adapted. I got one of those plastic urinal things. Sorry, if you get sensitivity, sorry. And I would use it and then put it up on the side rail and get up and go to the bathroom, finish whatever, or go back to sleep. Sometimes it's good to go right back to sleep. So I have rails on my bed, something to grab onto, pull myself up. I got a sleep number bed that pushes up the top so that I can get up. It's the things you got to do. Is adapt to your environment. Do what it takes to adapt to your environment. Get a bed. I got a small. I had a king size bed, and I got a queen bed because I can roll off a little bit easier. Got to do whatever you need to do. Stuck on the toilet. I've been stuck on the toilet, and I just can't get up. So I put in a rail in the tub, and I pull myself up. You do what you need to do to adapt to your environment. In October, I decided I was going to take a bath. Mistake, serious mistake. I hadn't taken my medicine in like 8 hours, and I got up and I was feeling kind of grimy, and I wanted to take a bath. And I thought I could do it. And I thought I had enough medicine. And I got stuck in the bathtub, it's a small bathtub, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning. And when somebody finally found me, they said, "How long you been in there?" I said, 2 or 3 hours. They said, "John, it's 6:30 at night." 6:30 at night. I was in there for 9.5 hours. And you take an emergency room, physical therapy rehab for 2 weeks to learn to walk again. Don't make that mistake. Getting dressed, you need to do it right. You don't stand up and do it and try to get dressed, you'll fall. You need to sit somewhere and figure it out and get dressed. Sometimes it takes me an hour to get dressed, but I do it safely. And that's incredible. Driving. I don't drive anymore. Think about this. If you're a bank robber, strange. You're a bank robber. You rob a bank, get away with it. 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 And then get caught. You might say you should have stopped after 5 banks, but you never know. Same thing with driving. You could kill someone. You can kill someone you love. You can kill someone you don't know. You can kill yourself. You need to do it smart. When I was driving, I would go off on the cliff. I would just go off and I would not be able to turn the wheel. I can't do that. So I adapt. I take an Uber. I get a ride. I live in a condo complex. There's a lot of really nice people. And they give me rides places. When they go to a supermarket, they ask me if I need a ride. If they're going to Costco, they ask me if I need a ride. So I've got some really good people around here. And that's something you need to think about. It's not something you'll hear from anybody else. But think about where you live. You live in a residential area, you're not going to have as many people to help you. But I live in a 60-person condo complex, 60-unit condo complex. And everybody here knows my condition and they're friendly, they're nice. So driving is critical. You don't need to kill someone. Proactive, potential slippery floor. Be careful of that. Put a rug down when it's tied to the floor, so it doesn't trip over. Vacuum cords, shoes, row rugs, carrying things like pizzas. I was swear to God, I was walking. I went to get a pizza. I was walking home, and I tripped on the sidewalk, and I landed on the pizza box. It actually broke my fall. Thank goodness it was a Chicago deep dish, not one of those New York thin crust, because it actually broke my fall, and I actually ate it. So that was a funny. You can laugh about this stuff. Getting out of chairs. I have restlessness. That's one of the conditions. Everyone's different, but I have restlessness. That's a symptom of mine. I can't sit comfortably. Well, I also, when I sit down in a chair, I can't relax. I can't lie back and relax because I can't get up. And I've had to call neighbors and such to come and get me up. My wife was unfortunately for 8 months in caring for her parents, so I was living alone for 8 months. So I had to call neighbors to come get me out of chairs at 11 o'clock at night. So I went out and got one of those recliners that pushes you out of the chair. You have to adapt. So, but now I can relax and I can actually sit down in a chair and relax because I know I can get out of the chair because it pushes up. That was one of the big changes that I made in my life. Traveling. I travel a lot. Going to speak to support groups. And if anyone out there has any support groups that we work with, who want me to come and speak on this or on living the best life, I'm happy to do it. But clothing, I wore jeans the other day, and I during a layover, I went into the bathroom and I couldn't get my button on my jeans off. I couldn't get the button on my jeans off, and I had to go to the bathroom pretty bad. So I knew I had another flight, and I was going to either go in with a wet leg or ask somebody in the bathroom to help me out. There was a biker dude on the urinal, and I had to choose between asking the biker dude to unbutton my button. And luckily, I got my button undone. I got the bathroom in time. But it was tough Hobbesian choice. Airplane seats. It's important that you stay near the bathroom or somewhere close to the front, and they'll help you out with that. And I mean, like I said, don't be embarrassed. If I feel like I'm not going to be in control, I'll wear Depends on my jeans, and I'd rather have that happen than the other option. Don't ever lose your sense of humor. My wife and I were in Venice, Italy, and we were walking along, and I got dystonia for the first time. Dystonia, if you don't know what it is, it's sort of foot cramps and turns on the side, and those toes go all the trips. It's very painful. It's the first time it happened. I sat down on the curb, and she stood there for a little while and said, "You're gonna get up?" I said, "I can't get up. My foot's cramped." She stood there for a little while, and she said, "You're gonna get up?" I said, "I can't get up. Foot's cramped." She took off my hat and a baseball hat on, put it on my lap, and said, "At least make some money while you're down there." That's funny. Never lose your sense of humor. Safe exercise when possible. In the third stage, the dangerous stage, you need to be careful about your exercise because there's balance issues and tripping hazards and such like that. So I don't exercise as much as I used to. I do it when I can, but it's harder. And don't beat yourself up over that. Sports. I used to do a lot of sports. I used to play softball, and I used to play bicycle and tennis, and I've had to give those up because softball, obviously I can't play softball anymore. I went and broke my finger playing softball a couple years ago. And tennis, I don't know how to do things halfway. So I took a fall on a tennis court and busted up my face. So just be careful of stuff like that. Know your limits. And walk. I find walking to be great. Walk, and when I learned how to walk again after my my incident with the bathtub, I learned. They taught me how to walk again. It's good because I don't trip and I walk heel toe. I do the things I need to. Avoid close encounters of any kind. Don't go into a corner. You get stuck. Don't go places that you shouldn't be going. You need to be very careful of that. In April, unfortunately, I had another situation happen. So this was in October was the bathtub, but I was stuck on the floor of my condo for 21 hours. 21 hours. And thank God someone found me, but I went at 4 in the afternoon, and I was found at 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the next day. So I learned a lot from that incident. And the fourth phase is dependence. And that's where you have to depend on someone else. And again, you never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. Jim Valvano says that there's 3 things you need to do every day. You need to think, you need to laugh, you need to cry, whether tears of joy or tears of sadness. And that's a great way to live. He said, if you do that every day for a week, you're back in a week. Do that every day for a month, you're back in a month. So even when you're in the dependent stage, you can still laugh, you can still cry, and you can still think. That's critically important. Guess what I'm going to say now? Uncover your purpose. Uncover your purpose. Everyone has a purpose. You just need to uncover it. Find out what your purpose is. Leo Biscaglia is a great saying that I like to use. Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, the smallest act of care, all of which have the potential to turn a life. Be that touch, be that smile, be that kind word, be that listening ear, be that act of care. You have something to live for. Well, the name of my book is You Ain't Dead Yet, because you ain't dead yet. Even if you're in the dependent stage, you ain't dead yet. I did a speech in San Antonio, and there was a guy at the end of the line. There was a line of people that wanted to talk to me afterward. I spend whatever time necessary. And he said, he's not, I said, do you have Parkinson's? He said, no. I said to him, what's your connection with Parkinson's? He said, my wife has Parkinson's, but she's in a wheelchair and she couldn't get, she wasn't feeling well, couldn't get here today. And he said that she really likes my YouTubes. I have dozens of YouTubes. You can look me up under John Baumann Parkinson's on YouTube. It's a search engine. But I said to him, my flight's not for 3 hours. Do you live somewhat near the airport? He said, yeah, I live near the airport. I can get you there. So we drove to his house and I got to meet her. It was a great time. But she said to me when he went in the kitchen, she said, I think I'm ready to give up. I'm ready to take my life. I said to her, your husband tells me you're a teacher. She said, yeah, I'm a teacher. I said, who's that picture on the wall? Those kids on the wall. She said, that's my grandchildren. I said, have you taught them everything you need to learn? She said, no. I said, then you have a reason for that. That was a meaningful incident in my life. Because whatever situation you're in, you ain't dead yet. And reclaim your positive perspective. As you can tell, I'm a pretty positive person. I tend to be positive, and I tend to be positive, and I think everyone's got a positive perspective at least sometime in their life. Think about this: when you're 8 to 10 years old, and you got home and you walked in the house, what do you say? I'm home. There can be no car in the driveway. There can be no one home. And you say, you announce your presence and authority. That's good. That's positive. Maya Angelou says, this is a wonderful day. I've never seen this one before. Every day you wake up, it's a wonderful day. And it's never been repeated and never will be repeated. It's a special day in and of itself. That's something that I cling to and hold on to in my worst days. So with that, that's the formal portion of my talk. But I'd love to chat with you and go through any questions that you've got, or comments you want to make, or whatever.
Thank you so much for sharing, John. I enjoy hearing the stories, even though I know at the time they're not funny, like the story about Italy. Like, I'm sure you were not amused when you're stuck on basically like a bridge and you're like, all of a sudden I'm cramping. And that's not funny. But yet I feel like I'm glad that you found the humor. I'm glad that your wife found the humor in it, that it was sort of like, okay, this is what's going on.
Parkinson's is not a funny thing. Parkinson's is not funny, but you can find humor in it.
And so one question I do have, though, is, you kind of talked about how you're coping with the sleeping. And, I know it's not everyone's favorite, but I do appreciate that you shared that, because I do kind of want to say, and I'm sure you would agree that it helped you, that you might not like using the urinal or whatnot, but it was helpful. And that you're adapting, or there are other changes you've adapted or made that you found.
I was tired of changing the sheets every freaking day. That was the worst thing in the world. I would feel I was embarrassed. I felt awful about it. I was changing the sheets every day. So this helped me get over my embarrassment. Now my wife and I sleep in separate rooms because I act out my dreams. And I want to mention one other thing. I got CBD oil that I take before I go to sleep, and this actually helped me sleep through the night. I also take a medicine that helps with my prostrate. So I don't have to urinate 3 or 4 times a night anymore. It's usually just 1 time. So that's helped as well, and that's something that I encourage people to look into. Because it's go to your urologist, get whatever medicine you need to help with the and then don't drink water after a certain time. Do all the things you need to do to improve your quality of life.
Someone asked, how do you stay motivated when apathy is such a common Parkinson's symptom?
Well, I don't have a choice. I don't give myself the choice. Anyone that's an inspirational speaker will say to you that the theme's all the same. Something comes up in your life that knocks you down. And you got a choice. You can get in the fetal position in bed all day and not do anything, or you can get up and get going. And that's what I choose to do. I don't give myself a choice. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was 10 years old, my brother was 8. Made a fort out of some fencing. He hit me over the head with a rock because I wouldn't let him in the fort. And there was blood everywhere. We went to the hospital and I got 10 stitches. My brother says, tell the story. It was too sick to understand. So I got my brother had to go to bed first. He always does. He was the youngest. And my sister went to bed next and they kept me up. It was a concussion or something. And at 9 o'clock at night, they brought out ice cream and gave me ice cream because of what I went through. And I said, this is the luckiest day of my life. I got hit in the head with a rock. I had 10 stitches. It was the luckiest day of my life. That's the way I look at things. There's got to be something positive about whatever you do. I think that I'm a changed person from my Parkinson's, and I choose to make that a good thing.
Someone's asking, so I don't know if you're comfortable answering this, although I will also preface by saying that, like you said, everyone is a snowflake with Parkinson's. Everyone's different. Someone's asking, how much medicine are you on, and have you ever considered DBS?
I have considered DBS. Maybe I'll do it in the future. I'd have to have pretty bad tremors to do it. I'm not a big fan of drilling holes in my head. I don't think anybody is, but I take 4 or 5 times a day. I take levodopa carbidopa, immediate release, levodopa carbidopa, extended release, nantidine, gabapentin. Take something for anxiety, something for depression. I take that new drug, lorazepam, whatever it's called. I just started taking that, and I have ambrosia to the inhaler. I need that if I have something I need to do. So I take a lot of medicine. I take 40 pills a day, including supplements. And sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. I'll still have off days, and I just have to survive them, as I've said.
I know this was a low point, but you did talk about the bathtub where you basically got stuck. And you and I have talked previously about it, and you kind of just talked about lessons learned from it. As far as, like you said, I'm not going to ever do something like this without having taken my medicine first again. And can you kind of talk a little bit more about that? Like what happened? And
well, I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. And I just thought I could take a bath. And I was wrong. And it's something important to don't put yourself in a situation that could cause harm. And I was sliding down the bathtub. My knee was in one side, my foot was on the other side, and I was cramping up. If I didn't get found at 6:30 at night, no one found me for overnight, it would have been awful. Mentally, I would have been very much affected. I think I would have lost my mind. And so I can't put myself in those situations. Now, thank God, my wife is back from helping out with her parents, and it allows me to relax a little bit, but I still have to be have to be available. I have to make sure that I don't do it again. So I went into the bathtub with it had been 12 hours since my last medication, and I had nothing left in my system. I didn't realize it. So I take showers only when someone else is home. So someone else has to be here for me to take a shower, because I don't want to fall. And even though I wear my watch, I've got my phone with me at all times. It's got to be careful. It's important.
have you done any clinical trials?
Yes, I don't know how it came out because they didn't tell me whether I was placebo or not. But I took some medicine and I don't know what it was, and they took blood from me every 2 weeks or something. That tracked me. So I would participate in any trials that I can.
How has, because obviously right now you've got a lot going on. Has the stress affected your Parkinson's? Do you feel like it's created any more anxiety than you might have previously had pre-Parkinson's? Or you're like, no, I was always kind of like, in my case, I'm always anxious, so I wouldn't necessarily know a difference. But like I could potentially blame it on something.
I was a lawyer for 25 years, and I was honestly I was a good one. And I handled stress, and I was very, very, very level-headed. Parkinson's has destroyed my ability to do that. Before this talk, I got nervous, and I couldn't do the keyboard. I passed the bar in Texas. I passed the bar in Louisiana. I passed the bar in New Jersey. So I'm good under stress. Well, I wanted to take the Florida bar just to take it. And I don't think I could do it. I can't, I get nervous. So it's really affected me awfully. It's awful. I feel a lot of stress. And it's awful. It's not me. It's not what I was. But it is what I am now, and I have to just deal with it. And my choice is do these talks and such like that and go to places to do talks or not. And I choose to go. And if I get up on stage and I am off and I'm not as flamboyant as I would be, so what? People have Parkinson's. You understand it. You're my people. You understand what you're going through, and I understand what you're going through. And they'll cut me some slack.
Have you had any help in the home, especially when your wife was away? Did you have any paid caregivers or whatnot to help out, or no? Okay.
Florida Blue has not a lot of people know this, but Florida Blue has a program called Papa Pals, and you need to look in your whatever insurance you have, medical insurance. Look for these things. Papa Pals, 60 hours a year. They come into my home and they'll clean, and they'll take me run errands, and they'll that's what they do. They run errands and clean. So I do that every other week. They'll come in for 3 hours. They'll clean a little bit, and then I'll go and go to the supermarket or whatever. So it's not very well publicized. Florida Blue doesn't, but you can find things like that. It's free. It's free to me. 60 hours a year. It's great, and they're really nice people. They come into your home. So there are programs out there. If you look for them, you spend the time doing some research. I just happened to get a flyer from Florida Blue, and it talked about it. I started using it. They also have a thing that says $100 per quarter for over-the-counter allowance for everyday items like toothpaste and aspirin. So I get $400 a year for that. And I don't know that anyone knows about this. Papa Pals.
Papa Pals.
P-A-P-A-P-A-L-A-S. P-A-L-S. Papa Pals. It's www.papa.com.
I'm putting that in the chat.
No, Papa. P-A-P-A.
Oh, Papa.
I thought that Papa John's would have it, but they don't.
That's funny. Now, you did talk a little bit about driving. How did you decide when to stop driving? Did you ease out by gradually driving less, or did you just come to an immediate stop?
I hit someone. I'm kidding. Sorry, that wasn't funny. I couldn't make a left turn, and I drove straight into a parking lot. I said, "This is it. I got to stop. Can't do this anymore. I can't take the risk. Can't risk hurting people." I love people too much to hurt them. So I stopped. Even going right down the street to I'd rather walk and take an Uber back with my groceries if I need to.
Now, you mentioned that you were subbing with elementary school kids, which just hearing a day with kindergartners, which my mother-in-law did for 40 plus years, and I just don't get it. How do you deal with the fatigue? Because that to me is just, again, even without Parkinson's, is exhausting. How do you deal with fatigue?
I only do it once a week. I did it yesterday. And, I won't do it more than one day a week. And I just play through it. I used to play sports, and you play through the physical training. What's tough is I don't always know when I'm going to be on or off. So I have to sit down, and the kids are great. I almost educate these kids. They see my hand shaking, and they ask questions. And it's really a great enlightening experience, because most of the time they'll say, I have a grandfather with Parkinson's. And they'll tell me the story and tell the whole class the story. And we use it as a lesson. It's great. I'm 62 years old, by the way. I don't know how I got old. All of a sudden I'm old.
Sometimes you just blink and it happens.
Yeah. The years fly by, the days linger on. It's a great expression.
Oh yeah, the days are long, but the years are short. Okay. Tell me a little bit about your Can you tell me a little bit about your exercise regimen? Because you kind of talked about how important that is.
We started. I was involved in the start of Rocksteady Boxing. I was the first fundraising speaker for the two events they had in Indianapolis. So I was involved in the ground floor of Rocksteady Boxing. When I moved to Sarasota, I started a boxing club with a place, and we had at the height we had 40 people there. That was great. So I still do boxing. I do it as long as I can. Sometimes I can do it for 10 minutes. Sometimes I do it for an hour. But I do what I can do. I don't get myself upset about what I can't do. When I was exercising a lot, we would do hot yoga 3 days a week, 90 minutes hot yoga, and it was not something I would recommend. We did it in Rome, we did it in Paris, we did it in Athens, we did it all over the world. But it was great it was great physically. And then we would do kettlebells, swinging the kettlebells. I wouldn't recommend that. There's other things you can do. That you've got lots of options with sport groups that you're involved with. Everybody's got some sort of exercise that they do. I did a Peloton bike. I did a treadmill. I did elliptical. I've done lots of different things. Whatever fits my physical capabilities. But you need to do something beyond your comfort zone. Don't just, as Muhammad Ali used to say, I start my training when I don't think I can take another step. That's beyond your comfort zone.
Someone asked if you also have any other conditions or like comorbidities with the Parkinson's that you're also managing.
Parkinson's is enough. I think that it's a horrific disease, and I've kept myself. I eat right. I eat very, very clean, and I'm very careful about what I put in my body. Because you can't out-exercise a bad diet. So there's nothing in my refrigerator that's processed. There's nothing in my refrigerator that's not clean. It's not organic. It's not greens. I'm very careful about what I put in my body, and that helps a lot, because inflammation and sugar are the two things that I talk about that is the scariest things that you've got. Anything that inflames you is going to be a problem. And I was inflamed when I met my wife. I was inflamed. And I also, my downfall is sugar. I like ice cream too much. So I've kind of cut back on the ice cream a little bit from time to time, but sugar is toxic. And no one can tell you anything else than that.
And now one thing you had mentioned, like neighbors helping, but you weren't able to call them. Is this something like if they don't see you, they come over that you've discussed beforehand with them as sort of a support system? How have you gotten the support of neighbors and friends?
Well, I had, when my wife wasn't here, I had people would call me 9 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock at night. I would have somebody call me to make sure that I was not stuck somewhere. So, and everyone knew where the key was to my house. So people would, if they don't, the person's calling me that night and I don't answer, they'll come over the house and check. So I had almost a schedule of people like that. And when I had the life alert, they would call those people first before calling the EMTs to make sure that I was okay. I have a guy named Larry who's 80-something years old, comes over every day and checks on me. And he's great. He's not a very good driver, but I'll go with him and we'll go to do chores and stuff. But he's great. It's amazing. People just are nice. People. One of the things I always say is, I won't cut back on going to restaurants and stuff like that. I'm going to go to restaurants. I'm not going to sit at home and wallow in my misery. I'm going to go to restaurants, and if I can't get up from a chair, someone will help me. Someone will. If I ask somebody, they'll move my chair. I've had in planes. I've had lots of people come to my aid and help me get out of the plane. And I tell you what, I made their day. They got to be kind. They got to show that they're a nice person.
Right. There's actually, it's called the helper's high. And I always try to remind people of this because I feel like people don't like to ask for help. And so I also kind of wondered, did your friends and neighbors offer, or were you sort of like, hey, this would be helpful, and they then jumped on it? Because I do feel like so often people don't know how to ask for help or what specifically they need.
Everyone to a person came up to me and said, if there's anything I can do, let me know. Just don't hesitate to ask. And that's what humankind is about. They asked me, and I was on the board of directors for 7 years, so I gave of my time, and the people have seen me in my right after the tub incident. People saw me walking with a walker, and they're willing to help out any way they can. I hate getting out of cars. It's so hard to get out of cars. I can't get my feet up. People have to come and grab my foot. And but it is what it is. It's nothing I can do about it. It's not my fault. I didn't do this. I wasn't bungee jumping in a cheap place. I wasn't riding a motorcycle. It wasn't my fault.
It's interesting because I've had that conversation with people that they can almost be like uncomfortable by their Parkinson's, but it's like you would never say to a diabetic, like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just process glucose properly? Like, you would never say that. And so it's sort of like, yeah, you're just not really making dopamine anymore. And that's what's going on. And this is in no way a character flaw or anything that you did. It's just something that's happening.
Instead of DBS, why don't they just take out my substantia nigra and put in a new one?
Traded in for a new one.
Yeah. That's what I say.
Mm-hmm. I think though that's the kind of thing we only see in sci-fi right now, and like kind of like some sort of transplant like that.
So what I need everyone in the Zoom to do is go to your support centers and suggest that they have me come to speak. So I would really love to come speak. And I would love to meet you in person, and we'll go out to dinner the night before or whatever. That would be great. That's really my purpose, and that's what I want to do with my life. And that's what I've done for the last 10 years. I've gone 100 different places, and I want to do it some more. So now that COVID is on its last legs, hopefully, I want to get back into the circuit.
And how would people best contact you, John?
I'll give you my phone number. You can call me directly. People call me all the time. I like getting calls from people because anyone has any questions, give me a call. It's 502-262-3300. That's the best way to get me. 502-262-3300. And you can go to my website, which is johnbaumann.com. johnbaumann.com.
As always, I encourage you to save your chats. We did put some information in there, including John's number and his website, as well as people were asking about the pop-up pal. So we put that in as well. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sharing your stories, being an inspiration, making us laugh. We have a tradition here at PMD Alliance, our wave of gratitude. And I thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, John.